What's up out there, Mystical Illuminations family? Star Interstellar here, and today we have a little collective energy update in terms of just where we're at, and especially things that are going to be relevant over the next few weeks as we come into this Mercury retrograde period. For starters, as usual, I would like to just give a deep gratitude and thanks to Father, Mother, God, Source within, their presence and their energetics here, and also like to give deep gratitude and thanks to all of you being here. And I just like to set the intention right now for all of those present that this information is only of the highest and best timeline for yourself, myself, and anyone who's out there tuning in. That being said, so some things that are coming in lately is Jupiter moves into Pisces here. We do have, of course, Neptune that's going to be squaring Venus and Mercury. Venus is coming into a conjunction. The sun's going to start to make aspects to Jupiter that just went into Pisces. And this is kind of the most important of the aspects that are bringing online the subject that I'm talking about. But before we dive into that, let's rewind a little bit just to give you a little bit background. So the development of what's going on here in terms of the awakening of this new level and layer of the What's up out there, Mystical Illuminations family? Star Interstellar here, and deep gratitude and thanks for tuning in today. Today I'm going to be sharing a little bit of a kind of collective energy update, especially is going to be important as we enter into this next Mercury retrograde period coming up here in Gemini. But this is also a message that is not time-stamped, because this is about the evolutionary process that we are in right now and that we are starting to move through. And of course, I never know where this is going to go, so there could be some long-lasting gems that come out of this as well. Before we go ahead and tap into that channel and that share here, I just want to give a deep gratitude and thanks to Father, Mother, God, Source within, their guidance and protection and their presence here. Also want to give deep gratitude and thanks to you for tuning in, and also just letting you know the intention here is to only share that which is of the highest and best for yourself and myself and all those on this planet and all those tuning in. So that being said, to give a little bit of background to what I'm about to share, a lot of this started coming in especially heavily as we started to go fully into the Aquarian age as of the Great Conjunction, Great Mutation, December 25th of last year, when there was the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction on 0 degrees Aquarius, really fully kind of ushering in the demarcation of we are now in the Aquarian age. And since that time, the process that we have been going through here on this planet is about the reawakening and grounding in of what I refer to as the consciousness and the grid of Sophia Christ and that Christic intelligence. This intelligence and this force as it awakens on the planet is something that happens at the shift over of every age, because what is really happening here is humanity as we know it is part of a developing body of a greater child intelligence, this Christic child. And we are inside of a large womb space, and we are part of the development of this child. And of course, you as an individual play a unique and special role in the evolution and development of that child. As we go through each age, as we merge, as we transition into each age, it's like a new developmental stage of that child in the womb space. So with that development comes new levels of consciousness, new awareness, new organs and glands coming online and functioning and things like this. This is a important evolutionary stage that we are at right now as we come into the Aquarian age, transitioning from the age of Pisces. And so as we made that switch over in December, this was a lot about, of course, the awakening and development of new aspects, especially of the nervous system. The nervous system and the higher mind coming into connection and awareness. Humanity really entering into awareness of a galactic, multidimensional, interdimensional species, really coming back into that awareness and that connection out into the cosmos and out into this higher mind. And in order to do that, what has had to happen is the development of new faculties of both our solar plexus, our nervous system, also our heart. I've noticed this time and time again as I've been working with more and more clients, especially since that point in December, that what has been asked of me is to come in and re-template the heart, re-template the nervous system, clear out, of course, karma from all of these other and previous ages, especially the age of Pisces, really breaking down that Saturnian matrix, which is the binds and bounds of just the 3D matrix, those walls of like materiality, and this is all there is, right? And this is also breaking down the mode of operating, how the species operated in the Piscean age, which is like basically like a collective school of fish, like group think, just kind of going with the flow in the crowd, whatever the group does, like operating more in this like one school of fish where one intelligence merges and governs the entire thing, right? And we still see a lot of this going on in the population, and a lot of fear about the fear coming up in those who are transitioning but not necessarily doing that well. And the Aquarian age is about this higher mind, this cosmic mind. And of course the Christic force, just like in Pisces, Christ was born from a virgin, which is Virgo. In this stage of the collective awakening, the Christic force is born from Leo, that womb of the opposing side. And what does this mean? This means that that Christic force is now developing the heart, the high heart, and this interaction with the nervous system. I've watched time and time again in these sessions with clients is being asked to re-template the heart, re-template the nervous system, and allow this new Aquarian template of the heart and different aspects of the system to come online, to anchor in. And the way that this has been developing and working is as the heart starts to function in this new way, it sort of becomes like a radio receiver, right? So if we look at the pineal gland like a radio receiver, and then, or let's say kind of almost like a channel changer on on your TV or something. Then we have the heart, which is kind of like the satellite dish, the array connecting into the solar plexus and nervous system, and these things being able to allow us to tune in deeper, of course, to one another, deeper into the levels and layers of the reality of the astral realm, of the cosmic higher mind. And this is how these new things are coming about. But in particular, this Aquarius Leo axis has a lot to do with the nervous system tissue, and how it tunes into these different frequencies that are going on. Now, Jupiter has been moving through this sign, of course, ever since that great conjunction in December, really expanding into deep levels, these new ways of the nervous system functioning and being able to, it was essentially, in a lot of ways, laying the initial wiring in this nervous system, right? And bringing online its communication in the heart with in new ways. Saturn, of course, is still there, really helping to solidify the wiring, those new connections in the nervous system. But now Jupiter has just started to make its way into Pisces. And this is really important, first of all, because we're leaving the Piscean age, but secondly, because really what is happening here is this nervous system tissue, this electrical wiring, that the electrical force has been coming in to bring new wiring and new consciousness and new awareness as we enter into the Aquarian age, is now that consciousness is starting to go into the waters, right? Into the womb waters, which is Pisces. Pisces is like the liquid casing that our brain sets in. It is actually, Aquarius is not only the nervous system, but has a lot to do with actual skin on our body. Pisces is the liquid that is beyond the hair, beyond the skin, right? Is actually that auric layer. But as you guys know, everything this is water right here. Of course, it means air, but there's a lot of water that's actually in this air that you can't even see right now with your eyes. Well, there's tons of information in that water. There's tons of frequencies. There's tons of things that are moving through the airwaves that we can't necessarily normally see with our eyes, right? But it is perceivable. We can connect to it. We can interpret it. And this is what is starting to develop now that the wiring in the nervous system has started to adapt and mutate. And we've been coming into all of these new layers of starting to understand and interpret that information, starting to even just tune into it, right? Well, now there's an opportunity to use the nervous system to start to really sense into the Akashic waters, or just the waters in general, the waters in our body, but also the womb and the waters beyond our body, into that collective consciousness. So now that sovereignty, inner sovereignty of being a unique being rather than just in the school of fish, has started to come online, our unique awareness of humanity as a galactic species, but also as an individual. Like, you as an individual have been developing this new higher mind, this new Aquarian identity structure as a unique sovereign co-creator. And so now that that body and the ability to sense in those areas has started to come online, that nervous system, now there's the opportunity to sense into the collective psyche even more, expand that electrical connectivity into the waters. A lot of this some people may call this intuition, right? But it's a lot more than intuition, because we're talking about intuitive faculties that have never existed in this way before for our species. And a lot of this also has to do with, so as we come into this square between Neptune and Mercury and Venus, and there's also, of course, the aspects going on to Jupiter. There's lots of things going on. But really what this is asking is, as Mercury is going through Gemini, as Venus is going through Gemini, we're shifting over, because Gemini has a lot to do with the age of when Atlantis and Lemuria was present, okay? And when that age was going on, which it's also simultaneously happening, right? And there is healing from disasters that happened in Atlantis going on. Atlantis and Lemuria was about the development of the hemispheres of the mind, right? And that's where you have that Atlantis and Lemuria, that separate consciousness there. And of course, there was a flood that happened. There was a breakdown that happened as too much psychic information, too many things were going on, where there was an overwhelming amount of tapping into consciousness too quickly. And this caused that split, this caused that fissure. And then there has since then been the development of these other aspects of the solar plexus, other aspects of the nervous system, to literally be able to house all of the consciousness, to house all of the information, and reconnecting to a lot of those levels and layers of information. It has required the development of these new layers of the nervous system, these new chakras, our ability to perceive in these ways. And as that happens, there's of course healing that has to happen as we reconnect wiring between the hemispheres of the brain, but also a lot of this happens by going down into the body, into the nervous system in these new ways. And once again, it's rather than looking at it of in the past, there's been more of this mind and this split between the mind and trying to sense what's going on and make decisions and interpret through the mind. Now it's about reversing that flow. So it's like gathering the information and the data in the body, in the heart space, in the nervous system, feeling more, sensing more, coming up with new ways to categorize and interpret what we're feeling and sensing, and then letting what wants to come into the mind, into that receiver, so there can be more interpretation there. Or perhaps even cognitively processing through these new ways in the body by feeling into those psychic waters altogether. And so this is what these transits coming up are really, in a lot of ways, forcing us to do. Because as we enter in these next periods, the mind and the communications coming directly from other people are not going to be trustable, right? They're just not. Like, especially also, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on social media, a lot of stuff going on just the mass media. There's going to be more information that's coming out that's just not trustable. It's not what is really going on. And this is like a great example of this. You're talking to somebody. Everybody's probably had this experience. You're talking to somebody like, hey, how you doing today? I'm good. But when they say I'm good, you don't feel that in your body, right? You're like, when you said I'm good, I kind of got angry. Like, are you feeling angry? You know, and it's not necessarily about communicating that, although that may be really important as we come forward to clarify, to go deeper, to feel deeper. But it's also really about tuning us into these new levels and layers of the psychic waters, of this intuitive nature, these new faculties coming online, and actually trusting and overriding that more than the mind, more than the communications, and really being able to feel into those areas and start to really tune into what comes online. It's like we know in these levels and layers of our being where things are going. We know what we're here for. We know what direction to choose. We really know what is going on in this reality with those connections in our life, with the people we love and care about, with our surroundings, with the world. We know a lot of these things, but it's not through the mind, it's not through the communications as we move forward, although it can be really important to communicate more, to communicate, to clarify on things, to get agreements on things. But really what this is asking this time is to heal those wounds of that positive and negative polarity, the good and bad, the mind and the way that it interprets an information, and really develop these new layers and levels of faculties to be able to sense into those waters. Also to be able to cleanse and clear what is distortion in those psychic waters, in the psychic field, that are preventing us from being able to tap into these ways of connecting with other people, these ways of gathering data and information, where it allows us to navigate, to swim in these waters in a new way. Because the more and more we move forward, the more that this is going to be the important way of operating in this reality, because there's new dimensions that are coming online that are going to trump what we see, because they are the new areas of reality that are slowly coming into view as being more real than what we see in front of us with our eyes. And this is this new body that is anchoring in at this time. We're starting to come up with new ways to, it's like my fingers use themselves to touch this plant, but there's another level and layer, many levels and layers of reality that I can interact with, that I can't just use my fingers for. That things can be seen, things can be felt, things can be known about this plant that can't simply be done through touching it, by connecting into the auric field of this plant. Through my heart, through my solar plexus, through my nervous system, I can speak with this plant, I can commune with this plant and gather data about the environment that this plant is in, the ecosystem that the plant's in, all of these things, there are many things that are going on that can't be done through the five senses. These are new senses that are coming online, and they require using them. They require us working out these senses, right? It's like just how we work out our muscles. They require, these new layers of reality require us working them out to be able to actually function in these new worlds that are wanting to come online. So that is my collective energy update. I will also want to say, you know, as we tap into these new levels and layers of this reality, we can realize that there are many beings and forces around us that have been here the whole time, have been communicating with us, interacting with us. This is also making sure with that Saturn and Aquarius that we're tapping into our sovereign consciousness within, that Father, Mother, God source within. If you want assistance in clearing out those templates, anchoring these new templates, moving out of the way what is preventing sensing in these new ways, in these new areas, of course, I would love to do a session with you. You can click the links down below. I also have a great new meditation on clear sight communications. It helps to tap into that sovereignty within. If this has been helpful for you, of course, smash up the like button, comment below, share with your friends. I really appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you have a beautiful day and a beautiful rest of your weekend ahead. Blessings to you, Star Interstellar.